The Psychology of Money. Part 1. Author Background, Introduction and Lessons. 1 to 4. Introduction. Who is Morgan Housel? Before we dive into the lessons of the psychology of money, let's take a moment to understand the man behind this powerful book, Morgan Housel. Morgan Housel is an award-winning financial writer, investor, and speaker. He began his career as a columnist for The Motley Fool, where his clear, insightful essays on investing and human behavior stood out in a world saturated with numbers, formulas, and jargon. Unlike many in the finance world, Housel isn't obsessed with complicated charts or get-rich-quick schemes. His brilliance lies in observing why people do what they do with money, not just what they do. His writing is accessible, human, and refreshingly honest. With a background in economics and deep curiosity about psychology, Morgan Housel has spent over a decade studying the behavior of individuals, families, companies, and entire economies, not just from a financial perspective, but from an emotional one. Housel has said many times, financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill, where how you behave is more important than what you know. This simple but profound idea became the core message of the psychology of money, first published in 2020. Since then, the book has sold over 2 million copies and has been translated into dozens of languages. Why? Because it doesn't just teach you how to make more money. It teaches you how to think about money. It helps you understand why people save, spend, invest, and sometimes destroy their wealth. Not because of numbers, but because of emotions, history, fear, and hope. Morgan Housel believes that the greatest risk to our financial future isn't inflation, recession, or market crashes. It's our own behavior. And in the psychology of money, he gives us the tools to master it. Now, let's walk through this timeless guide. One lesson at a time. The Psychology of Money. Overview. This book isn't a traditional finance manual. It won't teach you how to beat the stock market or pick the next cryptocurrency trend. Instead, it offers 20 short chapters, each exploring one timeless truth about how money works, and more importantly, how people work around money. These are not theories. They're human stories shaped by real events, real people, and universal emotions like fear, greed, envy, and regret. In each chapter, Housel blends history, psychology, and storytelling into simple, relatable lessons that can change the way you manage your money and your life. So let's begin with Lesson 1. Lesson 1. No one's crazy. Think about this. A person who grew up during the Great Depression might bury money in their backyard or live in constant fear of economic collapse. Someone who came of age during the booming tech markets of the 1990s might be willing to invest half their paycheck in volatile startups. Who's right? Who's wrong? The truth is neither. Because, as Morgan Housel says, no one's crazy. People make financial decisions based on the experiences they have had. And since no two people have lived the exact same life, no two people see money the same way. Your view of money is shaped by your upbringing, the job you lost, the debt you feared, the boom you celebrated, the recession that scared you. You might think someone is being reckless or irrational with their money, but to them, they're doing the best they can with what they know. Understanding this is powerful. It teaches empathy. It also helps us understand ourselves, because our behavior around money, both good and bad, is often invisible to us. So before you judge others or even yourself, ask, what shaped the way I think about money? That awareness alone is the beginning of wisdom. Lesson 2, luck and risk. We love to believe that success is the result of hard work and smart decisions. And often it is. But Housel reminds us that two invisible forces, luck and risk, play a much bigger role than we'd like to admit. Let's take Bill Gates. He was brilliant, hard-working, and visionary. But Gates also attended one of the only high schools in the entire country that had a computer in the 1960s. That access gave him a massive head start. Now, consider someone equally smart who started a business during a recession, got hit by unforeseen circumstances, and lost everything. Same talent, different outcome. The lesson? Be careful before attributing success to brilliance and failure to stupidity. Sometimes people just got lucky. Sometimes they just got unlucky. This doesn't mean success is meaningless. It means we should stay humble, gracious, careful not to idolize or criticize too quickly. And it means understanding your own story through the lens of both risk and reward. Lesson 3. Never enough. Rajat Gupta was one of the most admired business leaders in the world. He had risen from poverty in India to become the CEO of McKinsey & Company. He was worth over $100 million, yet in pursuit of more, just a little more, he crossed a line. He engaged in insider trading, and he went to prison. Why? Because he didn't know what enough looked like. This is one of the most dangerous traps in finance. The belief that if we just had a little more, we'd finally be happy, finally feel secure. But more is a moving target. As Housel says, the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Enough doesn't mean you don't have ambition. It means you know your limits. It means understanding that the cost of always wanting more, your health, your reputation, your peace, can be far greater than the reward. Ask yourself, what does enough look like for me? And once you find it, guard it, honor it, because peace is worth more than excess. Lesson 4. Confounding, compounding. Warren Buffett's fortune didn't come from picking stocks. It came from time. He began investing when he was 10, and he didn't stop. Today, over 80% of his net worth was made after he turned 65. That's the power of compound interest. But give it enough time, and it becomes extraordinary. Housel shares a simple truth. Good investing is not about earning the highest return. It's about earning a good return for the longest period of time. Think of compounding like planting a tree. At first, it grows slowly, but after years, its roots are deep, its branches stretch far, and its growth becomes unstoppable. So what does this mean for you? Start early. Stay invested. Don't interrupt the process. Let time and consistency work their quiet magic. Pause and reflect. Let's stop here and reflect. So far, you've learned. Everyone sees money through the lens of their own experience. No one's crazy. Luck and risk are invisible hands that shape every outcome. The pursuit of more can destroy what you already have. And wealth isn't about intensity. It's about longevity. These lessons are simple, but powerful. They invite you to think long-term, to live with humility, and to stop comparing yourself to others. As we continue this journey through the psychology of money, we'll uncover more truths about saving, freedom, and how to stay rich once you become rich. But for now, take a breath. This is the beginning of a deeper, wiser relationship with money. The Psychology of Money, Part 2, Lessons, 5 through 10. Lesson 5, Getting Wealthy. V is staying wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich require two very different skill sets. Getting rich often involves taking risks. It's about seizing opportunities, being optimistic, and believing in your own ideas even when others doubt you. But staying rich? That requires the opposite. It requires humility, caution, a respect for luck, randomness, and what could go wrong. Housel says that staying rich is often more important than getting rich because wealth that's lost can take years, even decades, to rebuild. He shares an example. Jesse Livermore, a stock trader who made a fortune in the 1929 market crash. He became one of the richest men in the world and then lost it all. Why? Because he didn't understand the importance of staying wealthy. He believed he was invincible, and he kept taking bigger risks. Getting rich is about strategy. Staying rich is about survival. And survival, Housel writes, is the cornerstone of any long-term financial success. So ask yourself, are you playing the game to win or to keep playing? The goal isn't to win the lottery of life and risk it all. It's to stay in the game long enough to benefit from the compounding magic we discussed earlier. Stay humble. Stay paranoid. Stay in the game. Lesson 6. Tails. You win. Did you know that most of Warren Buffett's wealth came from just a handful of great investments? Or that most venture capitalists lose money on 90% of their investments and make huge profits from just 1 or 2? That's what Housel calls the long tail, the idea that a small number of events often account for the majority of outcomes. This is true in life, in business, and especially in investing. One blockbuster idea can change your life. One company can make your portfolio. One connection can open every door. But to benefit from the long tail, you have to be in the game long enough and often enough to catch it. That means allowing yourself to be wrong a lot and being okay with that. It also means not quitting after a few failures because the big win might be just around the corner. So if you're an entrepreneur, an investor, a creator, or simply someone trying to build wealth, remember, the path won't be linear. Success is often hiding in the long tail. Be patient, be consistent, keep showing up. Lesson 7. Freedom. What's the real goal of wealth? It's not more stuff. It's not fame. It's freedom. Morgan Housel writes that the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. Think about that for a moment. The ability to control your time, to choose what you work on, who you work with, where you go, when you rest. That's real wealth. Most people chase money to buy things, cars, houses, luxury items, believing those will bring happiness. But Housel argues that what people really crave is control over their time, their energy, their attention. And money is a tool to buy that control, if you use it wisely. So instead of spending money to impress others or to prove your worth, ask, can I use this money to buy my time back? Can I use it to live more freely? Because in the end, freedom is the most valuable asset of all. Lesson 8. The man in the car paradox. Imagine this. You see someone driving a beautiful luxury car down the street, and for a moment you think, wow, that's a cool car. But here's the paradox. You don't actually think, that driver must be amazing. You don't admire the person, you admire the car. In fact, you might not even notice the driver at all. Morgan Housel calls this the man in the car paradox. We buy expensive things thinking they will make us admired. But people don't admire us. They admire the thing, and then they forget about it. This is one of the most powerful illusions in personal finance. We spend money on symbols of success, hoping people will respect us. But in reality, they're just thinking about how they would look with those things. Here's the truth. Respect is earned by character, by generosity, by integrity, not by what you wear or drive. So next time you're tempted to buy something to impress others, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this for me? Or am I doing it to appear successful? Real wealth doesn't try to look wealthy. Lesson 9. Wealth is what you don't see. We often confuse wealth with luxury. We see someone with designer clothes, a big house, or a fancy car, and we assume they're wealthy. But that's not wealth. That's spending. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money not spent, the investments growing quietly, the cash reserves that give you peace of mind, the options you've preserved. Housel says, "Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money." Wealth is what you don't see because it's still there. When you save, you're choosing to preserve freedom. When you invest, you're building security. When you resist unnecessary purchases, you're prioritizing long-term peace over short-term image. And in a world obsessed with appearances, that kind of discipline is rare and powerful. So the next time you admire someone's wealth, remember, the real wealthy are usually the quiet ones. Lesson 10. Save money. This may sound obvious, but Housel's point goes deeper. You don't need a specific reason to save. You don't need to be saving for a house, a vacation, or a car. You save because life is unpredictable, because having cash gives you options, because flexibility is the hidden return on savings. Saving money is a cushion. It's a vote for peace of mind. It's a down payment on your future freedom. And it's not just about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. Many high-income earners save little. Why? Because their lifestyle grows with their paycheck, but true wealth builders save consistently, regardless of how much they make. Housel says, "Wealth is just income not spent." Saving isn't just a financial decision, it's a behavioral one. It's about patience, temperance, long-term thinking, and it's one of the most powerful tools in your financial toolkit. Reflection. Lessons 5 through 10. Let's reflect on what we've learned in this second chapter of our journey. Lesson 5. Getting rich takes guts. Staying rich takes humility. Lesson 6. Most success comes from a few big wins. Let the long tail work for you. Lesson 7. The true goal of money is freedom. Control over your time. Lesson 8. Buying things to impress others rarely works. People admire objects, not you. Lesson 9. Real wealth is what you don't see. Your savings, your choices, your peace. Lesson 10. Save without a reason. Save to stay prepared. Save to stay free. Each of these lessons points toward the same truth. Personal finance is more about mindset than math. It's not about having a high IQ. It's about making wise, calm, long-term decisions. You don't need to be brilliant to be financially successful. You need to be consistent, self-aware, patient, and grounded in values that last. The Psychology of Money. Part 3. Lessons 11 through 15. Lesson 11. Reasonable. Rational financial decisions are often presented as math problems. What's the highest return? The lowest fee? The most optimized plan? But here's the truth. Most people don't make financial decisions based on spreadsheets. They make them based on emotions, comfort, and peace of mind. And that's okay. Morgan Housel writes, Aiming to be mostly reasonable works better than trying to be coldly rational. Let's say the math tells you to keep a mortgage for 30 years at 3% interest and invest the rest in the stock market for 8% returns. That's rational. But if you pay off your house early because you sleep better knowing you're debt-free, that's reasonable and that's powerful. Because what good is a perfect financial plan if it keeps you up at night? Reasonable decisions, the ones you can stick with, often outperform rational plans that are too complicated or stressful to maintain. So don't feel guilty if your money choices aren't optimized. Choose the path that gives you peace, not just profit. Lesson 12. Surprise. The world is constantly surprising us. Just think about the last few decades. The 2008 financial crisis, the rise of cryptocurrency, global pandemics, housing bubbles, tech booms, recessions. Almost none of these were predicted. And yet, most financial advice assumes the future will look like the past. Morgan Housel urges us to expect the unexpected, because the biggest financial events, both good and bad, are the ones no one sees coming. History is not a map. It's a messy novel full of twists and turns. So how do you plan for that? You build in resilience. You create a margin of safety. You don't bet everything on a single outcome. Because when the next surprise comes, and it will come, you want to be prepared, not panicked. Financial planning isn't about predicting the future. It's about building a life that can withstand whatever future arrives. Lesson 13. Room for error. This lesson is about humility. You may think you've planned for every possibility, but there's always something you missed. Morgan Housel reminds us to leave room for error in our budgets, our investments, our timelines. The greatest danger is not a bad decision, it's overconfidence. It's assuming the market will always go up, that your job will always be there, that emergencies won't happen. But they do. Having room for error means saving more than you think you need. It means being cautious when others are bold. It means not stretching your budget to the limit. It's not fear. It's wisdom. It's the quiet power of saying, I don't know what's coming, but I've prepared anyway. It's building a life that's strong, even when the winds change. Lesson 14. You'll change. This is a deeply personal insight. When we make long-term plans for our careers, our retirement, our future, we often assume that who we are today is who we'll always be, but that's not true. You are constantly evolving. Your values, your goals, your desires, they will shift over time. Morgan Housel calls this the illusion of permanence. He says, we're bad at imagining how much we'll change, and it causes us to make financial decisions that don't align with our future selves. Maybe today you want to travel the world, but in 10 years, you may crave stability and family time. Maybe you're chasing career success now, but later you'll wish you had more free time. So when making big financial decisions, like how much to save, where to live, what career to pursue, leave room for future flexibility. Because your future self deserves choices too, and the best way to serve them is to stay open, stay fluid, and stay humble. Lesson 15. Nothing's free. Everything in life has a price, but not all prices are obvious. In the stock market, the price of great long-term returns isn't a dollar figure. It's volatility. It's watching your portfolio drop 20% and staying calm. It's uncertainty, fear, and doubt. Morgan Housel says, "The trick is convincing yourself that the market's fee, volatility, is worth it." But most people don't think of it as a fee. They think of it as a fine, a punishment for doing something wrong. And when you feel like you're being punished, you want to quit. But if you see it as the cost of admission to long-term wealth, you're more likely to stay invested. This applies beyond money. Want to be fit? The price is exercise, discipline, and consistency. Want a great relationship? The price is emotional labor, communication, and patience. Nothing's free. The sooner you learn to identify the price of success and accept it, the more likely you are to reach your goals. Because success isn't free, but it's worth the price. Reflection, lessons, 11 through 15. Let's pause and reflect on these 5 powerful insights. Lesson 11. Don't strive for perfect rationality. Aim for what's reasonable and sustainable. Lesson 12. The biggest events in life are surprises. Build resilience, not predictions. Lesson 13. Always leave room for error. Humility protects your future. Lesson 14. You will change. Your values will evolve. Plan with flexibility. Lesson 15. Everything has a price. Be willing to pay it if the reward is worth it. These lessons bring us deeper into Housel's core message. Wealth is not a number. It's a mindset. It's not about outsmarting the system. It's about understanding yourself, respecting uncertainty, and making wise choices again and again and again. The Psychology of Money. Part 4. Lessons. 16 through 20 and final reflection. Lesson 16. You and me. Imagine 2 people investing in the same stock. One is a 22-year-old beginner hoping for quick growth. The other is a 65-year-old retiree preserving their nest egg. Same stock, different goals. So when the beginner buys and the retiree sells, who's right? Both. Morgan Housel emphasizes that everyone plays a different game with money. Your decisions are shaped by your personal timeline, risk tolerance, and goals. Problems arise when you start making financial choices based on what other people are doing without understanding their motivations. Social media, financial news, and even casual conversations are filled with advice and opinions. But most of them are irrelevant to your life. Don't copy people whose financial game you don't understand. Instead, define your own game. Ask, what am I optimizing for? What does success mean to me? Because your money story is your own. And it's okay if it looks different. Lesson 17. The seduction of pessimism. Pessimism sounds smart. Optimism often sounds naive. But as Housel points out, history shows that over time, optimism, carefully practiced, tends to win. Why? Because progress is slow and setbacks are sudden. When bad things happen, they happen fast. Market crashes, recessions, disasters, they grab attention. Good things, innovation, healing, compounding growth, take time and rarely make headlines. That's why pessimism is seductive. It feels urgent, intelligent, realistic. But if you zoom out, the story of humanity and wealth is one of progress. Over decades, markets rise, people adapt, and opportunities grow. To build wealth, you need to believe in the long-term future. You need to trust that things can get better even when it's hard to see. Optimism isn't blind faith. It's the confidence that with patience, discipline, and time, good things will happen. So yes, acknowledge risk. Prepare for storms, but believe in spring. Lesson 18. When you'll believe anything, Money is emotional, and in moments of fear or euphoria, we tend to believe stories, not facts. Housel says, stories are more powerful than statistics because they make us feel. During financial bubbles, people believe outrageous narratives because everyone else does. They suspend logic in favor of hope, hype, or fear of missing out. And in downturns, people sell in panic, not because the fundamentals changed, but because they felt scared. To build long-term wealth, you need to learn how to separate narrative from reality. Ask yourself, is this decision based on data or emotion? Am I reacting to noise or staying grounded in a plan? What story am I telling myself? And is it true? When you anchor your financial behavior to principles, not panic, you make stronger choices, no matter what others believe. Lesson 19. All together now. So far, we've explored 18 unique lessons, each one powerful on its own. But here, Housel ties them together. Because managing money isn't about any one strategy. It's about how all the pieces fit together. It's about understanding your own psychology, making peace with uncertainty, defining your personal goals, accepting imperfection, and building habits that align with your values. Housel believes that wealth building is deeply personal, and there's no single right way to do it. Some people take big risks, some are ultra cautious, some aim to retire early, others want to work forever. That's okay. The key is consistency, humility, and the willingness to stick with what works for you. Put the lessons together like a mosaic, and you'll find your own financial rhythm. Lesson 20. Confessions. In the final chapter, Housel opens up. He confesses his own biases, his financial habits, his imperfections, and in doing so, he reinforces the book's central message. There is no perfect investor, no flawless plan. He shares that he and his wife save a lot, not because they're trying to beat the market, but because saving gives them peace. He admits he prefers simplicity over optimization. He avoids debt, he likes flexibility, and he invests in index funds, not because they're sexy, but because they work. These confessions aren't advice, they're reminders. Reminders that the best financial life is the one that matches your personality, not someone else's spreadsheet. In the end, Housel's greatest gift to readers isn't financial formulas, it's permission. Permission to be human, to make reasonable choices, to prioritize freedom, to find peace, and to know that you're not broken. You're just doing your best with what life has given you. Closing reflection. The heart of the psychology of money. As we come to the end of this journey, let's pause and gather what we've learned. At its core, the psychology of money is not about money. It's about you, your fears, your hopes, your habits, your story. It's about realizing that wealth is not income, it's discipline. Financial success isn't about brilliance, it's about behavior. Good investing isn't flashy, it's patient. And the most important investment you can make is in your mindset. Here are just a few truths to carry with you. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be consistent. You don't have to impress anyone. You have to respect yourself. You don't need a complex plan. You need one that works for you. And finally, you don't have to do it all at once. Wealth is not a destination, it's a direction. A path walked one step, one decision, one mindset shift at a time. So take a breath. Revisit these lessons when you need clarity. And remember, money is just a tool. You are the craftsman. Use it to build a life that matters, one filled with purpose, peace, and freedom. Thank you for listening to this full journey through the psychology of money by Morgan Housel. May these lessons guide you not just in your finances, but in your character, your choices, and your legacy.